Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to be showing off how to get double movement in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 6. Yes, I know this sounds crazy. Epic actually took away double movement for keyboard and mouse players about 5 months ago, but it is now back in a different way. Basically, Epic is now allowing players to use third-party programs to obtain double movement. This does not mean double movement is back in the in-game settings. It also does not mean that everyone has it by default or that you're forced to use it. Epic is simply permitting players to use remapping softwares like ReWASD, Keys2xInput, all to their advantage. Now, before I get into the actual tutorials, I kind of want to structure the video out. What I'm going to do is I'll integrate timestamps right into it for the 3 main parts. The first will talk about why it's no longer bannable, the second will show off ReWASD or ReWASD, and the third will show off Keys2xInput. Feel free to skip around. I personally think Keys2xInput is the best software out there. It's also free, but for everyone else who wants to watch the whole thing, stick around for it all. Thus, without further ado, let's get right on into it. Alright, so this pretty much all started 2 days ago when Benjyfishy on stream said that ReWASD was no longer bannable. I know a lot of people were probably using it prior to that point and they did not get banned. You shouldn't have been doing that if you were. But this was the first time that someone with an actual connection to Epic, Benjy stated he talked to Epic about it. This was our first indication that it was fair game. Here's the clip, by the way.
Gross, no, I don't know. You're allowed to use ReWASD for double movement. You're allowed to use it. I made sure before I started using it.
Now, what ReWASD, Keys2xInput, UCR, what all these programs you hear about do is they remap keys on your keyboard. They, for example, can take your Z key and remap it to your G key. That way, when you press G, the game and your PC will output Z instead. How this works for double movement is instead of remapping one key on your keyboard to another one, they remap it to a controller emulation on your PC.
But Jerian, isn't that bannable?
No, it is not, little Timmy, for one simple reason. This, unlike a macro, is a one-to-one action. Say we use the last example, when you press G and you output Z, you're only getting one output for that one key press or input. This is not, and I repeat, it is not a macro. What a macro does is it takes one key press and it outputs more than one other key. It would be like if you press the letter Z and the game then pressed R, Q, F, like 5 other buttons for you, all in the span of 1 second. Just think about all the possibilities you have with a macro and why it's bannable. You could get the game to start an edit, select an edit, confirm an edit, swap to another weapon, all with one button. That's pretty much what Serpent AU did and why he was exposed as a cheater. Seriously though, macros are still not allowed. Macros are cheating, they will get you banned. I am not supporting the use of macros with any of these programs. The only reason ReWASD and Keys2xInput are allowed is, like I just said, they are not macros. You are simply remapping one key on your keyboard to another action, which is just a controller joystick, all to get double movement. Let it be known though that at the time I'm making this video, April 8th, 2021, Epic Games has not made an official statement yet. I don't think Benjyfishy is lying. He was literally using ReWASD on stream and he said he talked to Epic about it, but as always, use these programs at your own risk. Me personally, I have and will be using these programs. I have an inside source at Epic that basically confirmed they allow it. They should be releasing a statement very shortly. Double movement is almost officially back. Final thing before I go and show you guys how to set up the programs, I promise it's the last thing. I just want to stress how big this clarification is for keyboard and mouse players. We all now have the movement and the ability to strafe to the right and left just like controller players do. I can't even begin to talk about how useful it is for taking proper angles, establishing piece control, gaining information on your opponent. It is amazing overall. Not to mention, you no longer need a specific keyboard for this to work like the Wooting one. I made a video on that bad boy a few months ago. It essentially uses the same technology as these programs, except that one is inside the keyboard, but because of what Benjyfishy said, you no longer need that keyboard. All you need to do is follow what I say, drop a like on the video, and it will work with whatever keyboard you have on PC. So hopefully I did not bore you guys out too much. At last, let's get into the specific remappers. In order to get ReWASD, you have to go to the website. This is what it looks like, rewasd.com. And as you can see down here, you get a free download for a 14-day trial, but then it costs $7. I did not pay for it. I'm not sponsored or anything. The reason I'm showing this before I show the free version is because I know Benjyfishy uses this. A ton of other pros do as well, but I personally think Keys2x is better. It's also free. Still, I'm gonna show this just because Benjy uses it, and it's still good to know. Once you click the download button, I already have mine in my downloads. You can see right here, ReWASD. You're not going to click it yet. What you're going to do first is download this config. I'll put this link down below as well. It's basically the config for double movement. So if I put it right here, it's by a guy named Zephin. He set it up for you guys, so you don't have to do it yourself. I'm going to go and download that by pressing import config. I guess you could technically download ReWASD with that too. Now I'm going to open ReWASD. I will agree and install it. All of this is safe. ReWASD is very trusted. The only bad thing is I think I'm going to have to restart my PC. Man. Well, see you guys in 5 seconds.
2 seconds later.
I just restarted my PC and now I have ReWASD as a little application on my desktop. Wow.
So amazing.
Right away, it's detecting my keyboard and mouse. That's very cool. XM1 is my mouse. Yes, that is it. SteelSeries Apex Pro. That is my keyboard. So we're basically setting that stuff up. What I'm gonna do is go to the top right where it says choose a game. I'll do PS4 remote play. All we care about is that the SteelSeries Apex Pro is selected. I'm gonna go to add a new config. That's where the config comes in. Import from file, press the 3 little dots for browse, go to downloads, double movement, that's the config I told you guys to download. Link is down below. Press OK. And now it's set all this stuff up. You really do not have to press anything. All you want to make sure is that again, you have your keyboard selected, and second, you press apply. So boom, you heard that little sound on my windows. Now it says remap is on, which means it's officially working. We're gonna get double movement when I boot up Fortnite. When I turn this off, it's gonna make the same sound. And that means it's no longer remapping WASD to any controller emulator. Oh, I also forgot to mention, make sure you leave ReWASD open. You just minimize it, little black screen, there we go. And also in your in-game Fortnite settings, go to the sensitivity tab, the mouse and keyboard one, and make sure lock input method as mouse is on. That has to be on or else it will not work that well. Now if I run to the side, you can see I get controller movement. Oh my gosh. Oh, the double movement. This feels fire. Let me try out the sideways tarp. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at this movement. This is a lot like the original double movement where it's nothing too crazy. I mean, I can still run sideways like a controller player, but it's not too insane. I'm pretty sure you can configure your own using ReWASD. Basically, you have to make your own config, but that's a little advanced. Additionally, if you see people say that this gives you aim assist, I've seen a few videos like that, which is why people say, oh, it should be banned. This does not give you actual aim assist. The only reason people say that is because if you do not move your mouse for like 30 seconds, it basically becomes a controller input. That's also why if I move, do you see in the bottom right, it's becoming a controller input in my inventory. That is how all these keyboard and mouse controller hybrid programs or pieces of hardware like the wooden keyboard, the Martos joystick, that's how they work. It's obviously going to track people if you have really low dead zones, if you just do not press anything on your mouse for a minute. But the moment you touch your mouse, it becomes a keyboard again. There's no aim assist, even if you try to shoot while the weird AFK thing happens. That's the whole reason Epic put in this setting, so you can lock your input method as a mouse. You're using controller input and mouse input together. That's what the setting is for. So please, if you see anyone say,
Doesn't that give you aim assist?
just tell them to shut the hell up and eat a cinnamon roll, okay? But yeah, that is ReWASD. Let me bring it up again. All you need to do, like I said, go to PS4 remote play, add a config at the top, do the one that I linked down below, then just make sure your keyboard is selected, you set it up, remap is on, and yeah, it pretty much should work from there. Oh my gosh, something that's really important that I almost forgot to mention, I'm sorry, is while you have ReWASD open and the remapping is enabled, you can no longer use W or S outside of Fortnite because on the right you can see they are getting remapped to the left stick of a controller. So let me try to type in W or S. It does not work, but if I press D works, A works, W and S, they do not work. The way to fix that when you're basically done is you can either X out of ReWASD or you could just turn the remapping off. So it should say remap is off. Then when you go back, S, W, they all work like normal. Just make sure you have remapping off when you're not playing Fortnite and you have it on when you need double movement in Fortnite. Let's get back to what I was saying. You will then have this sweet double movement. Oh my. This is what Benjyfishy uses. I know Queasy uses it. It does cost $7 if you want it for longer than 2 weeks. Feels bad, man. Don't worry though, because I'm gonna show the free and arguably the better alternative. Lastly, any issues you have, just comment them down below. I've seen some people have their issues fixed by just running ReWASD as an administrator. That usually fixes it. I'm sure other people down below will also help you out. With that being said, let's go to the simpler, easier, and cheaper alternative, Keys2xInput. Keys2xInput, you guys can see it. I'm gonna link this download in the description below. It is a mega.nz file, so I'm gonna download it. I've downloaded this like 3 times. I've scanned it a ton. It is safe. Trusty boy itsJerian. But then on top of that, you want to go to this other download link. I'm putting this in the description as well. It's also free, so don't worry. You do not have to pay for anything. Just scroll down. I think it's called Vige M Bus Setup. Scroll down, like I said. Download the x64.msi. And then once you download it, run it. This nefarious virtual gamepad emulator should come up. This is what ReWASD uses, except this time it's free. So I'm gonna accept, I'm gonna install it, finish. Now we can go to Keys2xInput. What I suggest you all do is you take it, it's a .zip file, and you drag it onto your desktop. With any .zip, you're gonna right click, press extract here, and you should get 2 little files. One is Keys2xInput, the actual program, and then the other is a readme text document. I'll open the text document just because it's good to know everything. The guy who made it is named Jeb26. You're a god. He talks about all the different features. It's really not that hard to understand. He also talks about the different patch notes, something Epic does not do. Seriously though, I'm gonna open the program. You get that same little sound. That is basically the controller emulator coming alive. It's remapping your keyboard, like I said, different keys on your keyboard, WASD, to the controller left stick for movement. The only thing is now you can actually choose how much double movement you want. So you get strafes, diag up, diag down. If you hover over the value, it will tell you what it does. Strafes are the forward momentum applied when only holding A or D. Diag up is the value for the forward momentum applied only when holding W and A or W and D. And then this is the backwards momentum applied when holding S and A or S and D. I'll tell you guys what values to use when I'm in game. So just like with ReWASD, you want to boot up Fortnite and you do not want to close out of Keys2xInput. Just minimize it. You still want to have that keyboard and mouse setting in Fortnite turned on. Lock input method is mouse. Turn that on for Keys2xInput. It's the same thing as before. What I suggest using is 0 for strafes. For diag up, I found that 11,250 works really well. And then for diag down, 32,000. To save it, just press save configuration. Make sure it's enabled. You can see enable. And also make sure the block keys is checked. As long as you have these things enabled, minimize it. Just like with ReWASD, I now have double movement. This one you can see is steeper. To the right is insane. And this one feels really clean. You could never do this before on keyboard and mouse. It makes your movement so spicy. Let me quickly pull it up one last time. I suggest all of you guys fool around with these values. Maybe you guys can tell me what you think the best is. The higher value any of these are, the less movement there is. I know that sounds weird and counterintuitive, but that's just how it works. If I were to max out strafes, press apply. All I'm doing is pressing D right now, and I'm fully running up and to the right. I'm not even pressing W. That is how insane it is. So for strafes, I recommend everyone should be on 0. For diag up, you can try anything. If you go too low, like below 8,000, I'll show you guys what happens. All I'm doing right now is pressing W and D, and you can see I'm not going forward at all. It's really weird. You cannot go that low. So I recommend anything above 8,000, and then diag down, you pretty much want above 16,000. If you go lower than that, it's kind of like diag up. So I'll go to 0. I can no longer move to the side and backwards. You cannot go diagonally down at all. The only other thing you guys should know is that there is a hotkey for enabling it and disabling it. All you have to do is press Alt 0. So Alt number 0. Look, it just disabled it. The check mark's not there. I'm gonna press it again. Alt 0. You get the noise that says it's enabled. Keys are being remapped. And the reason this matters is outside of Fortnite, say you're on Twitter or you're just on the internet, when you have the remapping on, you cannot type W, A, S, or D. I'm typing them on my keyboard and look, nothing happens. So the way to fix that is to turn the remapping off. You can either X out of the program or press Alt and 0, and then now WASD. It's not broken. Do not comment that down below. One final time, these are what your settings should look like. Copy all of these, make sure it is enabled, minimize Keys2xInput as well as re-WASD. And then once you're in game with the lock input method as mouse setting enabled, you now have the spiciest double movement ever. Your life as a keyboard and mouse player will forever be changed. It's free, it's really easy to set up, as well as to disable in game. All you have to do, like I said, press Alt and 0. And look, now I no longer have double movement. Alt and 0 again. Now I have double movement. There's basically no input delay with this, which was a big problem with re-WASD. I like it because you can customize the values. You guys can use whichever one you like. I'm not making any money from either of them. I just want to spread the new double movement method. Enjoy it and drop a like. Overall, guys, that is how to get double movement in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 6. So if you guys enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone on the screen for using code JERIAN. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. Let me know down below what settings you guys end up using. I'm really curious to find the best double movement settings for both of the programs. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later!